Hey, Hoot here in Finn, and we're out here hiking today, and I'm enjoying this beautiful fall afternoon. Fall is definitely in the air. If you look around, if you could see up on this hill, there's a bunch of aspen trees that are just bright as the sun up there on the mountain. There's some cottonwoods and some snowberries. They're all changing colors, and it's just beautiful out here today. And you can just feel fall on its way. Won't be long before we'll be in snow. I've been staying out here at the camp for the last for months now, but by myself for about the last month, and just really enjoying just being out in my own personal little Walden out here, having my Henry David Thoreau moment, which is kind of what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today. Is some of my transformation that's been going on. Um, Perhaps you have noticed, if you follow me on social media or anything like that, you might notice that used to be that social media for me was just sort of a digital chronicling of my fishing events and excursions and adventures, and not to mention pictures of my family and things like that. But I've made a little bit of a pivot in recent months, and it's accelerating a little bit more. And I just kind of wanted to explain that because a few comments and a few people I've talked to kind of led me to believe that maybe people thought that I finally have snapped, that I finally have gone a little nuts. And I want to assure everybody that that's not true, that I'm just as nuts as I've ever been. And but I wanted to talk a little bit about my transformation today because it has been rather profound, and I have a compulsion to share the things that I have learned and the things that I have discovered and the things that I believe, because my personal mission has always been to connect people in some way. I've done it through camping ministry and outdoor recreation and team building. I've done it through theater and making people laugh. Pretty much everything I've ever done has had to do with connecting people. My personal mission statement: connecting people with nature, connecting people with each other, and connecting people with God. And so I'm compelled to tell my story and to share the things that I've found, and this is where I'm going to do it, and this is where I'm doing it. So I haven't fully gone crazy, and so I want to share because I recently discovered, I kind of boiled it down to the moment of transformation, the moment of a shift, that when the shift happened, and I happened to have pictorial evidence of this, the shift. And it tickled me so much to see it because it was rather profound, and I didn't realize it. I thought it was a slow development over time, but it wasn't. It was actually something that almost with a switch changed. So I've always believed that life isn't really a point A to point Z journey. It's not a straight path. In fact, I like to view it as more of a circular path. Matter of fact, it's a spiral. And so if you live in expansion, which hopefully most of us try to live in some kind of expansion, whether it's learning more or improving ourselves or changing our perspectives or growth or letting our little light shine or whatever it is, we try to live in a constant state of expansion. You want to expand and grow toward throughout your life, and you hope that that would be the case. And if you do this, if you're going in life in a spiral and you come back and you see something that you have been doing over and over and over each time, then you should be able to let things become clear. And as things become clear, we should be able to change our mind and our ways and our perspectives and grow. And in that way, this time maybe make a different choice that could help you expand further. And that's sort of what happened to me. But for 20 years prior to that, I was definitely living in a retraction. And somehow we normalize this life of retraction, that we're supposed to always decline as we get older. And anybody that knows me, I've had bad back issues since I was young, really. I had beat myself up doing circus arts and stunts and all kinds of things that I did when I was young. And really damaged myself to the point where, the pain started to dictate how I lived my life. But it started getting worse. It gets worse as you get older, because when you're young, you can kind of shake it off, or you can mitigate it in some way by exercise, or your core strength is still good. But as you get older, you get more sedentary, and it just one thing leads to another and another and another. And you think this is normal. Everybody thinks this is normal. When you turn on the TV, and it's always, everything's normalized. Oh, I'm falling apart. I'm getting old. It sucks getting old. You hear all these things, and we laugh them off, and we think they are humorous, but they're not. It's not humorous to live in that decline, in that slow crawl to the grave. It didn't used to be like that. Matter of fact, when my grandparents were alive and around, they lived basically until they died. I mean, they declined pretty quickly, and then they died. Prior to that, my great-grandparents, they lived until they died, pretty much. My great-grandfather lived until he died on a tractor out in the middle of the field. So this is a fairly recent thing, and a lot of it comes from our food choices and our lifestyle choices. That's why they call them lifestyle diseases. We get these lifestyle diseases. They eventually crawl forward, and we decline. And we think it's normal. It's not normal. So at any rate, this was me just under 3 years ago, and I'm suffering from chronic back pain in multiple discs in my neck, my mid-back, my low back. My hips were out of whack. I was going to the chiropractor on a constant basis, just trying to keep up with that. Inflammation was getting worse and worse and worse. Inflammation made my chronic arthritis worse. Matter of fact, I had arthritis a year or so ago, so bad that I couldn't even use my hands. I couldn't tie flies anymore. I couldn't cast a fly rod. I couldn't do the things that I like to do. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And you go to the doctor, and they, here, you're just getting old. You got to use some of this. It'll fix it. It's anti-inflammatory, or it's a painkiller, or something. You try to cover it up, but it comes with a myriad of problems, i.e. the gut. And then my gut completely gave up on me. I couldn't keep food down. I was having a hard time eating. I ended up in the hospital 2 or 3 times, and they didn't really have any answers. They're just like, oh, it's colitis, it's diverticulitis, it's leaky gut. This is what happens. Take this. Take this. Let's address the symptoms and not what the source is. And you think that's normal too, because that's kind of the world we live in. We think that's normal, but I'm here to tell you that is not normal. And that was a sad time. I was I'm very depressed and very sad. And there I am fishing in a ice hut. Anybody knows me knows I'm a dry fly fisherman, for crying out loud. Why am I fishing in an ice hut staring at a hole? And the caption I put there was even better: fishing in a hole. Living in a hole is maybe more apropos. I have a friend who says the only difference between a rut and a grave is the depth. And I was living in that hole. You're sitting in a hut with a heater, staring a hole in the ice, hoping a fish will bite that little jig thing. And it's ridiculous. And you're sitting there with some other friends that you're just living in each other's misery. I'm miserable as you are, and no, I'm miserable, more miserable, no, I'm more miserable, and just sharing your ailments and your pains and your troubles. Sad. And I like my sister's comment right there under it: better than living in a hole or being in a hole. Yeah, I'm not so sure, because I was getting to a dark spot where I was like, well, it would be better than for me and my family if I just could check out, because I might not be able to work. I might not be able to do my job. I might not be able to do these things that I love to do. So there I was. But something changed. Something big changed in my life because the very next post was this little guy. Yep, he came into the world, into my world with that rope, and he tied that rope around my leg and he drug me outside. He drug me outside every single day, all day long. Didn't matter if it was cold. It didn't matter if it was 25 below zero outside. I was bundling up and heading out because he wanted to chase a ball, because he wanted to catch a frisbee, because he wanted to play tug, and he wanted to learn some new tricks. And so up off the couch I got and went outside and got outdoors again. And I got outdoors doing different things, just walking and being outside, sitting with him and playing and things like that. It made me realize how important it is to get out in nature. Now, I've fished for years, but when you're fishing, you're doing something. And when you're doing something, you can't really immerse yourself in your natural environment and understand that you are not separate from nature. You are nature. And that realization gradually started changing me. And I knew that if I wanted to keep up with this guy, I needed to get healthier, that I wasn't going to be able to sit on the couch. Otherwise, he was not going to be a very happy dog. And so up I went and out I went, and I started grounding, and I started meditating, and I started taking cold showers, and I started doing some yoga and qigong, and I changed my relationship with my nature and my environment, and in that way changed my relationship with food. And that was the profound change. And in that way I've started to grow and to live in a state of expansion, which really helps if your business and your job and your life mission, your sole purpose is to connect people better. And so that's why I've made such a pivot with my social media, and that's why I'm going to be doing some more YouTube videos and video journals, video blogs, or vlogs, as they call them in the biz. And so expect more of these from me, and I hope you join me. I hope you go along this sojourn along with me, and maybe you can glean some information. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none, for sure. Everybody knows that about me. And so I'm not claiming to be a doctor or a nutritionist or a yogi or a guru or anything. Finn's my guru, and that's all I need. For sure, my guru got me up and got me moving. And from that point forward, I was outdoors again. And from that point forward, I was looking at the world around me in a different way, which led me on an entirely new path. So I hope you enjoy it. And because it's really the story I want to tell about transformation. And in my telling the story, hopefully it will also help transform the world around me, others as well. Because that's really our sole purpose, is to try to share and to tell stories. Speaking of a story, this is a story I've been telling for years. And it's not my story. This story is about a brilliant storyteller, at least this is where I got it, a brilliant storyteller by the name of David Novak. And it's where I learned it. And I've been using it as illustrations for a long time. And it was about a woman who's busy at work, and she's got her kitchen table all spread out with receipts and reports and graphs and her laptop, and she's busy working. She's got a deadline to make. She's got deadlines, and she is under the gun to try to get this work done. And her little daughter is playing on the kitchen floor, and she's playing, and she's like, "Mom, can we do this? And Mom, can we do that? And Mom, can you help me with this? And Mom, can we help me with that?" And back and forth. And exasperated, the mom says, "Here's what I want you to do." And she goes and she gets a magazine, and she opens up the magazine, and she finds a picture in it, and it's a picture of the planet Earth. Picture of the planet Earth, a big blue green, brown planet Earth. And she takes it and she tears it up into a bunch of pieces and she puts it into a shoebox. She shakes it up and she gives it to the little girl and she says, here, I want you to throw this out on the ground. And it's a puzzle. And I want you to put it all back together and make the image that it is. It's the planet Earth. Oh, okay, Mom, said the little girl. And she took the shoebox and she scooted down onto the floor and she spilt all the pieces out all over the place and she went busy to work. And the mom thought that could give her some nice time to go back and finish some of her tasks that she has to get done. And so she goes back to her laptop. She starts typing away. And no sooner as she starts typing away, the little girl comes to Mom. Mom, look, I finished it. It's the planet Earth. And the mom looks down and she sees that, in fact, the little girl had put all those pieces together and made the image of the planet Earth. And she says, how on earth did you ever do that? You must be some sort of a genius. And the little girl said, well, it was difficult at first because the planet Earth all kind of looks the same. It's green and brown and blue. And it was kind of hard. But then I noticed that on the back of that picture was a picture of people. And on the back of that planet Earth, all those pictures of people. And I pretty much knew how people go together. So I figured that if I could get the people to go together right, then I could get the Earth to go together